What's up, guys? It's Chris. Before we get started on this review, I just wanted to let you know there's probably going to be some spoilers. I know I say it later in the review, hey, there might be some spoilers, but just to let you know, before you dive into this thing, there are going to be some spoilers for Superman 2025, directed by James Gunn. So, hope you enjoy the review, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you here in just a second. What is up, my friends? How are you guys doing today? I hope everybody's having a fantastic day, loving where you're at and loving who you're with, striving and thriving. I hope everybody is doing fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little while. Guys, today we are talking about a movie that just came out last week, 2025, July. It is Superman, guys. Before we get started, hit that like and subscribe button. I had the pleasure of hanging out with my oldest son and going to see this. I would love to say that it was a pleasure watching the movie, but I found the movie underwhelming, to say the least. I got to hang out with my kid, and that's the important thing. You know what I mean? We got to watch a movie, eat some popcorn, drink some soda, and just, love life together. Bond, have some good times. And so we went and checked out James Gunn's Superman. Now, guys, I wish I could come to you and share with you that this was some mind-blowing superhero. This is going to reinvigorate the genre. I wish I could come tell you that, but I can't, at least not for myself. I found this movie to be completely lackluster and not the Superman that I grew up with, okay? And now I'm 41, about to be 42. I grew up with Superman in the 80s and 90s, and, he's fighting Doomsday. He's fighting crazy Lex Luthor. I've got the Superman in the Justice League cartoon, Justice League Unlimited. I've got animated Superman. I've got all this Superman content, and I'm not the biggest Superman fan, guys. I'm really not. I mean, I'm more of a Marvel person than I am DC, and I'm really over superhero movies ever since Endgame. It seems like the production quality and the storytelling quality has taken a downhill turn. And I'm just, I'm not down with it, as the kids say. And so, as I go into this movie, I'm thinking to myself, how's it going to be? Because at first I wasn't going to go see it at all. I was going to wait for streaming on Max or whatever. And I decided, you know what? I've heard so many differing opinions from people that I respect their opinion, that some people say, man, it's the best Superman we've had. I mean, that's pretty high praise, right? To, don't waste your time. It's woke nonsense drivel. Okay. But these were so diverse and divisive that I said, I've got to see it for myself just to see what the hoopla is about, because these are so polar, like the opinions were so polarizing. And so I dove into this. And trust me, guys, I went in with an open mind because I want to like Superman movies. I love Man of Steel. To me, aside from the Christopher Reeve, like the first two Christopher Reeve films, Man of Steel is the best Superman we've had on film. I mean, aside from that debacle that was Batman versus Superman and all that stuff. But Man of Steel was the best Superman we've had on film, in my opinion. So we get into this. And now here's my thing. We've had Henry Cavill and all these guys. And the thing is, when I think of Superman, and when I look at Superman in the comic books and in the animated series, you see a big, jacked, buff alien dude. He's been in the Earth's yellow sun the majority of his life. So I'm thinking dude who has got muscles. He's got the, curvature, striations. He's a ripped, jacked dude. He's invulnerable. You know what I mean? He is absolutely invincible. But no, James Gunn gives us a Superman that weighs maybe $170 soaking wet, and he's a wiener. He gets his butt kicked. The opening scene of the film is him getting his butt kicked. I mean, they tell us, they say, 300 years ago, not superheroes, but metahumans, they were acknowledged as existence. Then we've got 30 years ago, Superman came down. 3 years ago, Superman came out of the closet as Superman. Then we have 3 minutes ago, he lost his first fight ever. And it shows him crash land, and he's all busted up and bleeding. He weighs $170 soaking wet. He's not jacked. He's not ripped. He's a wiener that just got his butt kicked. What tone does that set for your absolute mess of a film? Let's get into that too. So, we see him, he goes and he gets a big dose of the sunlight from the Fortress of Solitude. By the way, guys, if you don't know already, there's probably going to be some spoilers. So, yeah, you know, if you don't want to hear my thoughts on this, but I'm going deep on this. I'm not going to stop till I'm done. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about it. We're going in depth into what Superman should be and what it was. So, we have him. He gets his big dose of yellow sunlight. He's going back out to fight some more. But here's my thing. He's laid up in the Fortress of Solitude. They're hitting him with sunlight. He's like screaming out because he's getting hit with the sunlight and bones are mending and all that. But that just doesn't seem like something Superman would do, be screaming out in pain. You know, and I could hear some grunting. I could hear some things like that. You know, I could see that happening. But he's got these like nanny robots that are like coddling him and putting him on there and playing a message from his mom and dad to soothe him. It's like, what is this Care Bear nonsense? Get out of here with that. Okay, we get him to go back and he starts fighting. Cool. Then we have, you know, we get Lex Luthor. Now, let me tell you something about Lex Luthor, guys. Lex Luthor is the best part of this film. Nicholas Hoult is a genuine talent, generational, whatever you want to call him. That dude is amazing. There have only been like maybe 3 or 4 characters in cinematic history that I've watched that I wanted to put hands on after I saw the movie. And, you know, he's one of them. Lex Luthor was so sinister in this film. I equate his performance to Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. Now, it's not as good or as poignant or powerful as Heath Ledger's performance, but what I mean by that is he stole the show from the main character. We're supposed to be watching a movie about Batman. We're supposed to be watching a movie about Superman, but the two villains steal the show from the main star. That's what I'm talking about. Lex Luthor was amazing, and Nicholas Hoult, bravo, brother. You deserve your flowers, man, because you were incredible. That was just, I mean, he was so sinister and evil in the way he would talk to people and do things. I mean, man, it was great. It was fantastic. That's the only thing that the movie got right, in my opinion. And so then we go, you know, we have Lex Luthor setting up his diabolical schemes, and we have him putting Superman in situations. And here's my thing. Okay, I understand that Superman is a big blue Boy Scout. I understand that. He don't want to kill. He don't want to really hurt people. He just wants people to stop. And he's godlike, so he can be like, no, stop your bullets, put his hand out, ping, 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 squish the gun, and he's not really hurt. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be hurt. He can do that kind of thing. But when he, you know, snatches the bullets, catches the bullets, whatever, he's not going to be hurt, like I said a second ago. But he's Superman. He's powerful. So when you have Lex Luthor bringing a kaiju up, he's going to take that kaiju and he's like, wait, he catches the foot so it doesn't stomp on a little dog, and he blows the dog away and then lets the kaiju step on him. He's Superman. He can literally pick that thing up and throw it into a desert or fly it somewhere. Like, why? He's got all this collateral damage. They're like, no, and they make it an absolute point to tell you no one was hurt. It's only property damage. I'm just like, get out of here with that, guys. That's not how real life works. There's always collateral damage. You know, Superman's not fast enough to save everybody. And so then we have scenarios like that. And then we have our science errors, and that drives me absolutely nuts too. Guys, if you know anything about how the universe works, how outer space works, how anything like that works scientifically, and I know comic books are, you're supposed to suspend disbelief, and you're supposed to be like, oh man, you can't do that, but you have to accept that yes, you can in this universe. No, I'm sorry, guys. I live in a world where fantasy is awesome and it is appropriate and I can love it as long as it is fantasy that is based within some kind of reality. And you're saying that's not possible. Yes, it is. Because fantasy also has to obey the laws of physics. And I don't care what you say, physics are important. Because here's my thing. Lex Luthor makes pocket dimensions in this so he can imprison his political adversaries and blah, blah, blah. These pocket dimensions rip open. They rip open a black hole, that's tearing apart Metropolis. Here's my thing, guys. If you open a black hole underneath a city, that's it. The whole Earth, gone. Like that. You know what I'm saying? It's not, I don't think it's going to be a gradual, like, oh, we're splitting like it's an earthquake. No, none of that. So, that irritated me. Plus, one of my pet peeves in movies, and you guys have probably heard me say this a few times in reviews, one of my pet peeves in movies is, if you are going to establish your own rules for things, you cannot ignore those same rules you established later in the movie for the sake of creative license. If you have a character tell me, if we touch that there, we are going to disintegrate into nothingness, and then Superman and a baby alien go for a swim in said river that turns you into nothingness, and they're just fine. Nothing happens. You can't do that. I guess you can, but it irritates people who actually care about watching the technicality of your movies. I understand that some people just go to movies to veg out, and they're watching them for entertainment purposes, and that's what I do. First and foremost, I'm a fan of movies, but I also know how movies work. I know how technical aspects work. I know how writing works. And when you do that, that's not good writing. Also, let's talk about our main villains. Of course, Lex Luthor is our main villain. We have Lex Luthor. That's cool. But then we have his henchmen. One is some kind of nano chick who turns herself into fans and blades. She's like T-1000 with nanobites. Nanobites, nanorobots. You know what I mean. And, okay, she's cool. Superman doesn't really have a problem with her. But then we have this guy, Ultraman, who basically looks like they took Black Noir or whatever his name is from The Boys and just put him in this. He looks like Snake Eyes, like a Timu Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe fighting Superman. Come to find out, oh, guess what? That is a Superman clone. And guess what? Now Superman has to fight his clone. But you know what? If Lex Luthor, that's what he did. He built Ultraman. He cloned Superman. And now so he's, Superman's, I wish it would have just been Bizarro at this point. Why did it have to be Sebastian Stan Superman? Because that's what he looks like with long hair. But it was just make Bizarro. Turn the clone and have him look all zombified and have him fight Superman. That would have been cool. This making clones of the main hero is lazy. That is super lazy writing. I hate that when they do that. They did that in Logan. They missed a perfectly good opportunity in Logan to have him go out against Sabretooth. Or, one of his other key villains, not a younger, more deadly version of himself. Shut up. That is lazy. And that is lazy in Superman as well. I hated that it was his own clone. So there's just a few things in this film that I just absolutely hated. But there are a few things that I really liked. There were, the acting by Nicholas Hoult, his portrayal of Lex Luthor was freaking just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And there are some beautiful cinematography shots in this. There are some beautifully framed shots. There is a shot where there's a building fixing to fall on a lady going across a bridge, and Superman, saves her, and she drives out from underneath the building, and then, you see him rise up out of the rubble and the dust and stuff with, a kind of, the sun kind of back behind him, lighting his silhouette. Dude, that was so pretty and so beautiful. And there were quite a few shots like that. There was a lot. The movie had promise if it wasn't for the comedy that really didn't land and the way that Superman was portrayed. He was portrayed so weakly. The one thing, there was no emotion in anything. The one thing that I liked about Man of Steel was that they talk about humanity a lot in this film, about how he's a human, how he's, he loves the humans and yada yada. They talk about that a lot in this. And then this Superman goes on a diatribe about how baseball and apple pie and he loves dogs or some kind of nonsense like that. And he talks about how that makes him human to Lex Luthor. Where Man of Steel showed us, there was an emotional hook right there. He sees his dad fixing to get done in by the tornado, and his dad says, no, don't come save me. The world's not ready for you yet. And so he doesn't. And he doesn't want to kill. We know we can see the torment on Henry Cavill's face when he finally has to, when he can't save people, or when he finally does with Zod. Zod is going to kill these people in this building if I don't do something. And you could see the conflict on his face before he snaps his neck. You can see that. There is some emotion. There's just, it's the scene set up, everything. There's nothing emotional in this whatsoever. To me, I never felt emotionally connected to any of these characters because Superman wasn't developed for me to like. He was developed to do cool things on screen that he didn't even do. He has so much strength, but yet some of the situations he finds himself in, he is a pansy. He is a weak B-word. And it's not cool. That's not my Superman. My Superman's omnipotent. You know, and okay, oh, he's only been Superman for 3 years. He's been Superman all his life. In Kansas, in Smallville, Kansas, he was still Superman. He didn't learn his powers 3 years ago. He's been developing his powers all his life. So don't tell me it's because he just became Superman that he was so weak and yada yada. That excuse don't fly, people. Unless you're completely ignorant to what Superman is. So, guys, go see the movie for yourself. I didn't care for it. I probably won't watch it again. I don't recommend it to anyone. I mean, if you're a diehard Superman fan, cool. Go see it. Love it. Sing its praises. Because obviously a lot of people have loved it so far, and I'm in the minority for disliking it, and they're going to make more of them. So you guys enjoy that. I'll be skipping out. But thank you so much for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate the time you take to watch my videos and all that stuff. Hit the like and subscribe button on the way out, my friends. And as always, I'm going to keep making them as long as you keep watching them. Peace out. God bless you, and I will see you soon.